When we took a look at the Terra Onion Super SC System 3 for PC Engine, we started warming up to the idea of using ODEs to better preserve our aging NEC optical disc hardware and its games. Most notably, Sapphire.
Sexy.
Well, it looks like the Super SD System 3 was our gateway drug because we've been busy setting up and readying ourselves for our first hardware mod, thanks to Terra Onion's newest ODE solution, the M.O.D.E, which was sent to us from Stone Age Gamer. Short for Multi-Optical Disc Emulator, the M.O.D.E replaces the CD drive in any Sega Saturn or the GD drive in a Sega Dreamcast, giving players the ability to play their games off of an SD card, a USB thumb drive, or a SATA drive, whether it be a traditional mechanical hard disk drive or a super speedy solid-state drive. And while it is technically a plug-and-play solution, it also requires a lot more attention to detail and much more effort to get going than the absurdly easy SSDS3 did. So let the games begin as we assemble the ultimate Sega Saturn Dream Stream Machine Xtreme Supereme. Know what I mean? So, what do you get when you buy a M.O.D.E? Well, the M.O.D.E comes in a box that's way smaller than I anticipated. The outside slipcover features accents showing both the Saturn and the Dreamcast hallmark designs, with the classy metallic M.O.D.E logo superimposed over them. The rear of the slipcover gives the player the gist of what the device is and what storage media are supported. Taking off this slipcover reveals a plain brown box that opens along its bottom edge by way of a hinged flap. Inside, players will find a set of 8 plastic mounting posts with adhesive pads, a handful of screws with which to mount the M.O.D.E to standoffs or a bracket if required, a small length of wire with a 2-pin female connector for power if needed, and of course, the M.O.D.E itself, contained in an anti-static bag. The M.O.D.E unit is a slick-looking piece of hardware. If it wasn't for the fact that our number 4 Model 1 Saturn hardware wouldn't be compatible with the aftermarket Crystal Saturn shelves we've been seeing, you better believe we'd be sticking this bad boy into one of those. The black PCB gives it an incredible sense of style. A small quick start guide is also included which directs players to an online installation guide, but more on that in a bit. While everything players need to get going with the M.O.D.E is included here, Stone Age Gamer also provided us with a pair of mounting brackets, this grey one for use with the Saturn, and an orange one for use in the Sega Dreamcast. We're only focusing on the Saturn in this video, but we do have new plans to assemble an ultimate Sega Dream Stream Machine Xtreme Supereme next year, so the orange bracket will definitely be used. Our M.O.D.E is going into this formerly grey Model 1 Sega Saturn. It's grungy, dusty, old, and discolored, just like me.
Dynamite.
There are several revisions across many models the Saturn was made available in, and this one seems to be one of the very first. That means that the instructions for installation provided by Terra Onion are not accurate in the least. So as a bit of a disclaimer, this video is absolutely not to be used as a tutorial or guide for installation. I fumbled my own damn way through this, risking both system and M.O.D.E in doing so, because apparently I live life on the goddamn edge. The first thing that needs to be done is to remove the existing optical drive. This one literally ended up failing us in the middle of a stream a while back, so this particular Saturn is the perfect candidate for a M.O.D.E replacement. I just wish I knew the drive would fail so hard though. I would definitely have asked for a partial refund on the listing this was sold to me under. All of the cables leading into the drive should be very carefully removed. This Saturn has 4 hard plastic mounting posts which the optical drive sits on. These all need to be removed. In their place, the provided standoffs will rest more or less over or slightly ahead or beside of the holes they leave behind, and it works well enough. Unfortunately, the Saturn bracket that Stone Age Gamer sent along doesn't work so well in a Model 1 system. However, I made it work by broadening the screw holes to accommodate the small plastic feet that came with the M.O.D.E. This ended up lessening the space between the M.O.D.E assembly and the top cover, which I personally like. For this project, I'm using a 240GB Kingston SATA solid-state drive. It has a pretty snappy read-write speed, and it was very cost-effective even at the time we got it, though nowadays it can be obtained for just 45 Canadian dollars or less. This drive requires an interface to transfer data onto it, which is typically cheap and easy to use. We used this iCAN USB 3 2.5-inch enclosure. Whatever storage method players decide on needs to be properly formatted to exFAT in order for the MODE to properly read it. But wait, 240 gigabytes, you might ask? Is that a little low, you might say? Well, we'll get into that in a second, but, and minor spoilers here, for a curated collection of titles, 240 gigabytes is way more than adequate. All of the games going into this build are ones we own. How players go about obtaining their software is up to them, so be sure to consider the legal aspects of obtaining such software online, as well as the security and trustworthiness of these online sources to avoid viruses and such. Making ISOs of discs you own is the safest way to go about this, and we converted all 85 of our titles, one at a time, in a bin queue style. The total storage required for all of these games, some of which like D, Azel Panzer Dragoon RPG, and Policenauts having multiple discs, weighed in at a paltry 41.2 gigabytes, including the downloadable cover art file from Terra Onion. This leaves a huge amount of space for more titles to be added down the line if needed. All of these titles can be separated in various folders. We have them sorted by North American and Japanese releases, stored in a single folder titled Saturn. A Dreamcast folder could also be put onto the SSD as well, and it can be swapped between systems, though digging out the SSD and throwing it into a Dreamcast housing a second MODE would be a real pain, never mind swapping the existing MODE over as well. That's why we're getting two. From there, it's time to reconnect the various bits that connected the optical drive to the lid release and reset buttons, power supply, and so forth. With the software loaded, our SSD simply plugs into the MODE SATA port, and that's it. We're set. The MODE also supports multiple storage methods being used at once. MicroSD and SATA, or MicroSD and USB, can be combined, but a USB thumb drive cannot be used in conjunction with an HDD or SSD. There is a switch on the MODE that needs to be properly set depending on the model. If the included power supply wire needed to be installed, it needs to be set to the left-hand 5V external side. For ours though, it needed to be switched to the 5V internal to the right. This model has a 4-pin power supply which plugs right into the 4-pin slot. Because of this, the 2-pin power supply wire and connector that comes with the MODE is not used here. This Model 1 Saturn also features a 20-pin ribbon cable, while later ones have a 21-pin ribbon. There's a small piece of adhesive over the MODE's 20-pin slot to avoid using it unless necessary. The way this setup ended up though, this ribbon was visible through a space in the lid, so I colored the ribbon black to hide it just a bit more. While I was at it, I switched the spring in the lid mechanism to a position closer to the top of the enclosure. This resulted in a faster, stronger lid release, which I rather liked. With everything reconnected, it's time to close up the system and fire it up.
Is it gonna make the noise?
This here.
It's not the sound I was expecting.
Yes.
I was expecting, you know, the one that has like the shatter noise, if that makes any sense.
Oh, you're thinking of like the North American Saturn.
Yes.
I like the Japanese one better. It's more obnoxious. Okay.
Wow.
So we're here with the Terra Onion MODE from Stone Age Gamer. We're gonna be putting this device through its paces here. I have a list of things to go through here.
A list, eh?
A list, yeah. But first off, interface here, you're going to notice that the picture might shake a little bit from time to time, and that's because the menu here is 480i. We're running this through RGB on our OSSC at 960p. There's a few different options here. If you press the C button, it brings up a list of things that you can do with this. You can, you know, go from list to cover mode to display the list of games that are on your drive. You've got an auto region patch, which means that you can turn it off if you wanted just to do one specific region. In this case, our number 4 Saturn is a Japanese Saturn. It's like a very early Model 1 Japanese Saturn, but we put on so that we can just, you know, throw anything onto the drive and it'll work. Fast boot, we've also got this set to on. Given that we're using a solid state drive, it's going to allow stuff to boot really, really quickly, and the load times are very, very fast, which is always good. Disable lid switch, we chose no, because the lid switch assists with multi-disc games. We do have a few of those. Starting video mode, NTSC or PAL. Since we don't have any PAL games, we're just sticking with NTSC. NTSC is the standard used for both North American and Japanese games. Video system output pin, auto NTSC. You can do auto PAL or force NTSC or force PAL. We're just doing auto NTSC. That's fine. Reset input behavior, boot to menu or normal reset. And here's the thing with that. For whatever reason, if I press the reset button, nothing happens. I don't know why that is. That's one of the things that's sort of bothering me with this setup. And it might just be because of the kind of Saturn that we've got. As you saw with the installation process, there's quite a bit different about this Saturn than with the ones that Terra Onion seems to have in mind for the mode itself. And this is exactly why this video isn't a tutorial or installation guide, and you may have already noticed I totally had a cable entirely in the wrong spot. Switching things back to the way they should have been has re-enabled our reset button, and also the access light which stopped working along with it. Bonus. Reset output signal, pulse on BTM or disabled. I'm just leaving that as disabled. I'm not even sure what the difference between this is, if I'm 100% honest, but I'm sure some technically minded individuals out there probably know what that's all about. But for the layman, which I kind of am, it's inconsequential. Now, soft reset to menu. This is where things become a little more interesting. You can soft reset your game to the CD player, and then you can select the mode from the Saturn logo that pops up. Or you can go direct to the mode. So when you soft reset, it just goes directly to the mode itself. I go CD player because there's reasons why that might want to be done. We'll get to that. You got your boot BIOS menu, which is, it brings you to the Saturn BIOS here. You can, go to your memory management. We've got cartridge memory included here, so like you can see here that we've got all of our games backed up to it. There's also a bunch of stuff on the system memory as well right now as well. I did clear some of this off. I think Knights takes up a huge chunk of memory, in fact. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 200 blocks or something like that. Yeah, here we go. There's two of them actually right there at 197 a piece. I'm not sure why there's so many, or why they're all doubled up like that. It's kind of weird. But it is what it is, I guess. But yes, there is that. If we exit and then go to this, it should just bring us back to the mode menu once again. There it is. Now this is version 1.03. I think there's another update, which we haven't done. I think it adds memory management to the mode itself, but like I've got multiple memory cards. And I think I might actually switch out this memory card for the Action Replay Plus, just to give it that extra layer of ultimateness. Because the Action Replay Plus actually doubles as a RAM card as well. It has a 1 megabyte and 4 megabyte switchable RAM feature in it, so you don't always have to exchange cartridges if your game supports higher memory requirements. So that's pretty cool. Finally, let's go to the device here. Press the Z button. It says device not ready. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, we're reading the device list here, or the game list. So it brings it up. Now I've got this set up into two different folders. I have NTSC and NTSCJ. This is our North American games. This is our Japanese games. Once again, all of the games that we have on mode are games that we own physically. So I've got a big old pile of Saturn games behind me there, but also a bunch in our living room as well. And each and every one of those was transferred over in a BinQ sort of setup so that it would work on the mode. And they're all here. So if we go into the NTSC file, you can see that all these games here are loaded up. They're instantly accessible. If we set up the mode for list, or cover rather, instead of list, we can show you how that displays. So we have the two folders here, NTSC, NTSCJ. If we go into NTSC, it takes a couple seconds, but the covers for the games that we've got here load up. And what's neat is that if you select one of these games, like let's say for example, we select, I don't know, let's select In the Hunt. It shows you little screenshots, a title screen, the publisher, developer, and a small blurb. Now the blurb is cut off. I'm not sure why it's cut off, and I'm not sure how to scroll through that. So far as I can tell, we can't really do that with how this is set up. So it is kind of cut off, but it's a neat little feature. This is downloadable from, there's some sort of file that you can get from Terra Onion at in some place, but all you need to do is just throw that into the root folder and away you go. So that's a cool little feature, but it does take a while for these covers to sort of populate when you're scrolling through your list. It's much faster on the Dreamcast. It has something to do with the system bus. It's a lot speedier on the Dreamcast, and so they load more or less instantly, allegedly. We haven't really tested it ourselves. But that will be when we finally do the Dreamcast build of the same nature. So yeah, that's essentially what we've got for the North American side of things. Whether or not your game is North American or Japanese, and I assume for PAL as well, it senses what it is, so you'll get the Japanese covers as well. They are taller than your typical Japanese cover. Japanese covers are square, so more or less they're going to be cropped in kind of interesting ways, but you know, you get an idea of what they look like here as well. So that's pretty neat. For example, too, where is it? Here we go. The Virtual On cover. We have a North American version of Virtual On and a Japanese version of Virtual On. They have unique covers. So the file that was put onto the mode here to display these covers senses which version it is. So according to the data that's in the BinQ file. So that's pretty cool. All right, so I guess we'll get into some gameplay here as well. Let's go into a North American game then. And I guess what we'll do is we'll play, let's see, what's a good one that we can play? Let's go In the Hunt. Okay, so In the Hunt is kind of a weird thing. This will sort of serve two purposes. I've noticed that with very specific titles, they're kind of unstable on the mode. In the Hunt is a game that I'm having a heck of a time trying to consistently get to work. It works sometimes and it doesn't work other times, and I have no clue why. So let's see if it works this time around, and we'll take it from there. It's Coco Pelli Digital Studios. Oh, it's working right on. Before I was treated to a black screen. So this is In the Hunt.
I was gonna say, is this Echo?
I don't know if they made a Sega Saturn Echo the Dolphin.
I saw it was dolphins, and I was very confused. So I do have a question for you. Like, I didn't get to ask you when you were like describing all of the options that are available to this thing. Like, holy carp! For the covers and like the list of games, do you prefer the list or do you prefer the cover option? Like, which one do you?
I actually prefer the list. The list is a lot snappier to get through. The covers do take quite a bit of time to populate, and as a result, it takes a bit more time to get into the action. As a result of that, I do appreciate that the C button in this game just fires everything all at once.
Always handy.
So being that this is running on a real Saturn unit, and the mode is basically just replacing the the disk drive, all of the internals are exactly the same, meaning that you're getting the same grade RGB out as you normally would otherwise. So that's pretty cool. We are using the Retro Gaming Cables Pack-a-Punch SCART cable to get this picture transferred over through the OSSC.
Seems to run fairly well.
I mean, yeah, it's still just the data from what was on a disc originally being loaded from a different medium. So the Saturn is basically taking that data and processing it as it normally would. It's just getting fed that data in a much speedier manner. I don't know what the read speed on the original Saturn's CD drive actually was, but I imagine it was probably like no more than 4x. Like it was a pretty slow drive. It turns out, like, okay, when we did the review of this, we sort of commented on the slowdown. Allegedly, the slowdown that's present here is more or less the same slowdown that was found in the arcade version as well.
I have trouble picturing slowdown in, like, an arcade game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's obviously a thing, but it's just like...
It happens all the time. Like, one of the chief complaints about certain cave games is that they don't have the slowdown that was present, or incorrect slowdown. Like, I think Ibarra has no slowdown, and as a result, it becomes very difficult to play. The boss here.
I like the designs in this game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I can't deny that. Oh, shit. I think I gotta stay in the middle here.
It's supposed to be some kind of fish, or...
It's like some crazy, like, Nautilus-themed submarine. I don't know. This isn't Darius, right? So.
Freaking Darius.
Can I just, like, okay.
Majestic space flap.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Get out of here, buddy. Yeah.
Stage clear.
Nice. I'll take it. Nazca was the chief developer on this production. I'm not sure if they were a part of IREM or what, but they went on to do the first Metal Slug not long after this one was made. So like Metal Slug, there's like an incredible attention to detail when stuff blows up. Like these houses here are just getting shredded.
I was about to say, like, this is some insane detail.
Like, and when you consider too, like, this doesn't even use a RAM card. It's just kind of the way it is. I think even Metal Slug requires a RAM card of some kind to properly display. So like, yeah, to have this kind of pixel perfect sprite work running on the Saturn without a RAM card is pretty cool. I will continue here just to show you guys these windows being blown out. Boof.
Who made this one?
Well, Nazca was the chief developer, and IREM, I think, I think they were part of IREM at one point, and then they went on to do other things, but then it was published by Imagineer in Japan as Kaite Dai Senso, and then Kokopelli is the publisher for North America.
No!
Oh no!
Your sub just disintegrates.
Yeah, it has that Metal Slug flair to it.
I would think, just by looking at the details and everything for this game, I would think that it would fall in line with like the Metal Slug series.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's basically a submarine instead of a tank, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool game. I do like this one. Like even the bosses have the same sort of panache as the Metal Slug games too.
I love that word, panache.
Panache, yeah. Like you can definitely tell, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, so from here, I'm gonna go back to the title screen, and then if I soft reset again, it brings me to the BIOS screen here. So if we press start application again, it'll bring us back to the mode.
A la mode. I'm sure that's never been said before.
I'm not sure it has, actually. Games a la mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I did.
All right. Let's load up a Japanese game here then, and we'll choose something that's got...
Beats, some hot jams, if you will.
Yeah, some rippin' Red Book audio. And I don't think there's any game better for that than Darius 2.
Do I sound like one of the cool kids now?
Some hot jams.
I got called old today, okay? Leave me alone.
got some hot jams for your toast. This is Darius 2. This is kind of a neat conversion because it maintains the aspect ratio of the original, but you can zoom in and out of it, which is kind of weird. Now, unfortunately for Day here, we're going to have to press the start button. And that means... She hates that sound.
I really do.
She despises it.
It's part of being old.
Right. Let's just... Okay, so basically your shots, your bombs, zoom in and out. This is kind of interesting, and you'll see why in a second, but... And of course, the classic. So yeah, you can zoom in. You can see how detailed these sprites are by zooming in. It's really cool.
Where's the line?
Oh, it's coming. When it's zoomed out, obviously there's going to be aliasing issues, but it's cool that they gave you that option.
There it is.
I always wanted a thing.
Ed, do you ever get to have tuna sashimi?
I did. You bought me tuna sashimi for my birthday.
Was it there?
It was, yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was or not.
There was 2 different types. There was a good kind, that's for sure. Yeah, the dark tuna sashimi was so good.
Well, I love you, so what can I say?
That's how you can tell she's the one, folks.
She buys you sushi?
She gives you the thing you always wanted. A thing called tuna sashimi.
Well, I'm glad I'm the one.
But yeah, man.
Whoa!
The sprites are so detailed in this.
Oh my goodness, you're so zoomed in. Is this normal? This doesn't feel... I don't feel like this is normal.
It is. You can do it at will.
Oh no, do not like... I have enough trouble hitting, like, dodging stuff at, like, that scale there. I'd hate to try it zoomed in. That would just be... no.
Alright, I'm gonna wait until Buddy comes over here, and then, boom! Nice and easy. Those hot Zuntata jams. I'm hoping to get my hands on a new device that actually handles the resolution shift really well by comparison to the FrameMeister or OSSC. And it's not as reference quality as those 2 devices are in terms of their visual output, but to be able to play a game with variable resolution without losing picture during like a live stream, especially during a shmup, right, is pretty cool. So hopefully I'll report back with more of that at another time. I'll let y'all know about that on like Twitter or whatever.
On the Twitters?
On the tweeters, yeah. Oof. Yeah, just as they gave me a shield. That's just kind of how it is with Darius. Alright, code number CB10. I forget what it was called. It's this thing though. It's like an anglerfish. Oh hey, what's up? I died. No.
No.
I was trying to shoot that thing below it to kill it. Oh well. Okay, so let's take a look right quick at a multi-disc game. For that, I'm going to go to D.
Is D the one that's like Silent Hill?
Well, Silent Hill.
Well, I mean, it's got like Silent Hill vibes to it.
It is, yeah.
Or at least that's the one that everybody was saying was like Silent Hill.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if it's like Silent Hill. I think it's more like a... I would liken it more to Myst.
Myst.
Which we have.
Yes, we do. Wow, that's some ancient graphics right there.
I know, it's all FMV in this, though. That's the thing. I'm going to have to do that. Actually, this should demonstrate it perfectly, actually. If you open the drive door here on a multi-disc game, and you close, and you start the application again, I believe it should try to do disc 2. There it is, yep. So this is disc 2. Please insert disc 1 to play. So if we do this, open up, will it go back to disc 1? And that's so quick too, like... Yeah, there we go, right on. So it'll cycle through the discs if you open up the
CD drive?
The drive door, yeah. Which is a nice touch, I gotta say. So that's pretty cool.
Except what happens when you're actually on what would be considered disc 2?
It would switch to disc 1. Because that's what it was. Like if we open up the drive now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then close it up. And then enter the game. It'll then say, this is disc 2. Please insert disc 1 to play. So being that we're quote-unquote on disc 2 now, if we open up the drive again, close it up, enter in, it'll then go to disc 1. So that's very smart. It's a very smart way to do it. Multi-disc games on like the PlayStation Classic, for example, when we added the soft mod to that, it is very tricky to get multi-disc games to work, which we saw with Geppy X. But yeah, with this here, it's very cleverly implemented, and I think I highly enjoy the way it's set up that way. It's very good. So that's pretty good. I'm just gonna power down and power on again. We'll go back into the mode BIOS here. All right, and so yeah, if we go back here, I was a little fast on the draw here. If we go to D and we start it, you can see here that you can select the starting disc, which is cool. So let's say you want to, like if you were to quit your game, turn off the system, go back into it, and you want to play your D file again, and you've made it to disc 2, you can select disc 2 to start right away. But again, if you start on disc 2, it should once again do exactly what it did last time. It'll say disc 2. And if you mistakenly do that and you can't soft reset the system to the mode screen, you can just open the disc door, close it up again, once again nice and snappy, and away you go. You're back on disc 1. Cool.
That is a pretty cool feature, though.
It's a very good feature, yeah. I like it.
Those are some wonky looking bats.
Yeah. All right, so this is a bit of an issue with the cover system. There are times where it doesn't load properly. Hey? But there isn't 2 discs.
Did you break it?
Let's see what happens here. I don't know if it's still thinking that we want to play D. No, it's Taito. Huh. That's really weird.
That is weird.
I'll have to look into the files at some point. That's super weird. Okay. Yes.
Oh, it looks weird on my screen.
Oh, yeah. Dave's monitor is stuck in Yoko, so it's not rotated.
All the wonky.
Yeah, this is a pretty great game, actually. I've wanted to review it for a long time. I just haven't gotten around to it. Like, I think I spent $15 on this game.
That is not bad.
It's all about locking on to like as many things as possible for that giant score boost. So yeah, it's not surprising once again because the mode basically just loads the game data into the Saturn's memory. It behaves as if the disc is in there, it just loads quicker, that's all. I've always been very confused as to why that same voice responds to itself.
Because why not? I was told that if you want to have the most intelligent conversation ever, just talk to yourself.
I'm not so sure about that. That's just an echo chamber, isn't it? Like,
well, obviously you've got to answer yourself.
do you though? I don't know, I often piss myself off. I didn't get that one last panel. This game is bad for OCD, that's for sure. Haha, I think not, pal. It's super colorful, but I think the thing that makes Layer Section super special is just the amount of parallax that it incorporates for being a vertical shooter. So yeah, like just like layer after layer of background. It's pretty great. Pretty slick. Like the transitions are pretty good in this game. I do rather like it.
Kind of sad this isn't as detailed as in The Hunt.
I don't know, I think in some ways it's more detailed. Yeah, I've noticed that this is sometimes an issue. Let's go back to the options, and I'm going to put it back to list because it's... oh, I think I crashed it.
No.
Wah, wah, wah. See, that's what I mean. Like, there are times like that where, and I'm not sure why it happens, but it just kind of locks up. I think that has to be addressed in the firmware update, so I'm probably going to have to do that at some point. Open up the old number 4 and throw in like an SD card or something like that. I don't know, we'll see. Actually, the load times in this were kind of extreme, so let's see how long it takes. Not bad. Don't patch!
He's so excited into this.
He's 100% invested. Helicopter, obviously.
May I ask why helicopter?
Because of sweeping shots.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, man. I hope I don't hit the bomber button straight off the bat. Yeah,
Now that you've said that, you're going to.
You're probably right.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yar! I see now I've got rapid fire on the shoulder button, so yeah, we're good. And lasers, good. Cool, cool, cool. I noticed that there's some shimming there, so the scaling is not 100%. There we go, better. One thing I appreciate about this game is that the explosions look decent. Dodonpachi actually has pretty nasty pixelation.
Power up.
Power up! Get that B bonus.
Looky what we got here. A multi-assault tank. Watch yourself, kid.
Look at what we got here.
Just a couple more shots.
Oh, he's so excited.
Power up.
Power up.
Power up!
I'm occasionally distracted because I can see the reflection of the game in my phone. And at points it looks better in my phone.
I'd have to compare the load times on these two. The load times in this game are still pretty bad, all things considered. Yeah, not bad. It's all about that B bonus. Extra Bs. Three Bs.
They don't look like bees, they look like hornets.
Well, I mean, technically, I suppose, right? But
I mean, I suppose they could be a type of bee.
they're B types.
You did not go there.
Yes, I did.
Oh
As
my
a matter of-
goodness.
Death.
Please.
Give it another go.
And yeah, there is kind of that mysterious load time there.
I was gonna say, did you crash it again?
Yeah, it's just kind of how it is in this game. When you select a new fighter, though, like if you continue using the same fighter, it doesn't pause like that.
Do you enjoy the mode? Like, do you like it?
I do like it.
So does this mean that our games are going to spend more time in their cases now?
Oh yeah, that was half the reason that I was invested in this project to begin with. Because, like, let's be 100% honest. The cost of some of these games are getting kind of ridiculous, and I think I'd rather keep them in good enough condition to load them up when I need to, rather than risk damaging them at any time when taking them out of the case to put them in a system. It's the same sort of situation as with the Super SD System 3 and Sapphire, for example. You know? Most recently, too, they sold an adapter that allows the mode to be used on a PlayStation as well. However, it requires an extensive mod, like you need to be able to solder something in place, and that's beyond my skill capability.
Well, we've got friends who could probably do it.
Yeah, maybe Colonel could, but I don't know if I'm in the market for 3 modes. That's that's a bit much.
All the modes.
More games a la mode.
Oh,
The Sega Dreamcast, though, is something that I do want to do, and in fact, it would be even less expensive to do because in the case of the Sega Dreamcast, I'm only curating all of the shoot 'em ups, which we actually have. We have 100% of the shoot 'em ups ever made for the Dreamcast, and given that, like, obviously those games are quite a bit larger than Saturn games, but at the same time, there aren't 120 shoot 'em ups on the Dreamcast, so. I think that there is ample space for the entire library and anything else that might be coming out on the horizon to be put onto, say, 120 gigabyte SSD.
Wow! Look at the size of that battleship!
Wow!
It's like, this doesn't seem like a very big battleship. No, it's still not that big.
Yeah, there are much larger ships in games. Like there are some games like R-Type where the entire stage is one ship.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Don't you just love the sweet taste of victory?
Yeah, I love the sweet taste of victory. Ugh.
He died.
Please continue.
Game over, blah.
Game over.
Game over. Thanks for playing this game. Bye.
Thanks for playing this game. Bye.
Bye. All right. I think that's where we're going to call it. But yeah, the mode is a very useful device, and it's very flexible in what it does. So,
Presented by
all right, let's wrap this up.
Okay.
The M.O.D.E is a really, really cool device. It's the perfect ODE solution for people with no soldering skill or desire to mess with such procedures to modify their Sega Saturn or Dreamcast to have their games all in one spot. It will increase the lives of our discs and the review grade units for when we cover Saturn games in the future. But for streaming though, there is no better convenience. It does have its issues though, however minor. The M.O.D.E will sometimes freeze up in cover mode as opposed to list mode, and some games like In the Hunt have been very unstable. Stone Age Gamer also provided us with a pair of 2.4 GHz wireless Saturn controllers from Retrobit, which we are using for this build as well. We covered those on a previous episode of Random Play, which is linked in the description below. Since the mode only emulates the optical drive, players can also add RAM cards and video decoders like those found in the V Saturn or High Saturn to their mode-equipped system. An Action Replay Plus could even be added to the mix for an even more robust experience, as it supports expanded 1MB and 4MB RAM enhancement capabilities, as well as cheats and extra save storage. As we said before, we're definitely going to revisit the mode with the Sega Dreamcast in a new build for 2021. But for now, our number 4 Saturn is where this mode will permanently reside. We hope you enjoyed this extensive build and look forward to seeing more of these units on our Casually Hardcore live streams. Very special thanks to Stone Age Gamer for making this production and project possible. You can get your own mode on Stone Age Gamer today. Links in the description below.
Don Patch.